Now, when you create a physics asset for your character, this is just so that you can ragdoll and that kind of thing. When you simulate it, it's terrible. Okay. So I'm going to do a really quick version, but you can spend a lot of time fine-tuning this. I'm going to go through and put new bodies on the major body parts that you need to make a ragdoll work, which is the pelvis, the spine, the upper arm, the lower arm, the hand for both sides, and then the legs, thigh, calf, and foot. Once again, both sides. And we need one for the head as well. And what you're going to want to do is kind of orient these to fit the mesh. Because when you simulate physics, it's not the mesh, it's actually this kind of crash test dummy that you've created. And it just controls the skin of the mesh and kind of warps it and gives the illusion that the mesh is ragdolling. For example, if I take this and I make it huge, then when you simulate, parts of his body won't ever actually touch the ground. The egg is what's touching the ground. So we're going to get it really close and tight to the mesh itself. Now, as I said before, you can spend a lot of time doing this. Fine-tuning, getting it just right. Okay. For whatever reason, this arm was a lot smaller than the other arm. Doesn't matter though, you just come in and make the changes that you need to get it to match up. Now you can click this and it should show the skeleton. Here we go. So if you don't want the mesh and you just want to see what the ragdoll basically is going to look like, there's that. Now when you simulate, it's still not going to be right. It gets closer to the ground and those kind of things are working, but he's still just a ball of mush. So what you're going to do is go to constraints, and this is just how you control how much each joint can move. A really quick way to just set this up is to go to the angular limits and make them all limited instead of free. That's going to stiffen him up. Now you're going to want to go in and do just the knee and make it bend appropriately and that kind of thing, but I'm not going to do that for now. And just to show you the difference now when you simulate, it's more of like a ragdoll should be. That's as far as I'm willing to go with it at this time. But now that we've done that, you can take one of these and bring it into the game world. This is just the skeletal mesh, and you can go to your details and you can simulate physics. You should be able to simulate physics. Not sure why you can't. Oh, I need to go into this mesh and pick the physics asset and assign it to the mesh, and now you should be able to do it. Yeah. So now when we hit play, he'll auto ragdoll right when you come in, as you see. Let's get rid of this. Have another quick look. Okay. Another thing we can do is, now that that's set up, when you die, we'll make the mesh and we'll do simulate the physics, set that to true. Okay. I'll tell you what, let's do, let's bring him back in here. Now when I attack a couple times, okay, now he fell through the world, but we know our attack worked. 2 hits and it killed him. Let's go in here and go to our mesh and set our collision on the mesh. So right here, we'll go to custom. You can use any of these pre-made ones if you'd like, but I just do custom. We'll make it collision enabled, and it should block everything. You don't need to be able to step on top of it. Just causes massive jumping problems and that kind of thing. Alright, so just by doing collision enabled, it should have fixed it. Yeah, so now we can do damage and be damaged. Now look, you see how his head's going out of control right there? We can actually, I can show you how to solve that as well real quick. Just go to here, go to the physics asset, grab his head, and the linear dampening, will just turn it up. So now, when you simulate physics, his head shouldn't do nearly as bad of like a rotational thing. Yeah. Okay. Save all. Set up damage. Alright, let's set it up so that these can also be enemies. I'll show you how to do that real quick. Let's do is AI. Now when you check this, that's going to make the variable public. And what that means is in your game world, when you drop an asset into the level, it's now a default variable that you can set up per instance in your level. So we're going to make this one particular guy AI. So go here. Let's add pawn sensing component. And we'll do on C pawn. Right here. And now, just to make sure that it isn't being used unless he's AI, we'll start with a branch there. If AI is true, we'll get AI controller. The controlled actor will be self. And then we'll do a simple move to actor. The controller will come from this, and our goal will be the pawn that is seen. And if you go into the pawn sensing, you can set up the frequency. The sensing interval is every half a second. I'm going to turn it up to 1 second, how far they can see. This also has hearing. I'm not going to get into that. We're just going to keep it simple for now. You would need to create a noise making component on blueprints that could trigger the hearing. So now when he sees me, he should run toward me. Oh. So is, you have to add a navigation mesh. And what that does is give the AI pathfinding. Drop it down a little bit. Now if you hit P, it'll show you where the AI can go and that kind of thing. So if we leave that on, and then I move it up a little bit, scale it up some, and now the AI can walk on top of there, minus this little spot here. So now when he sees me, he should run toward me. Oh, oh, oh. And when he gets to me, he stops. And every second, he'll rerun that code because the sensing interval is on 1 second. Okay, so we'll do this as well. We'll use the damage box to trigger it. On actor begin overlap. So now what this is going to do, I'm going to trigger the AI's attack with this. So let's do another branch. Make sure that it is AI. Just because you don't want this code running if you're the player controlling this blueprint. It's really simple. Just to give myself a little bit of an advantage, I'll do a delay of 1 second, and then we'll just set attack. And now his attack won't be very different from my own. He'll have to hit me twice, and then it'll cause me to go ragdoll. So here we are. 1, 2, and I'm done. Now see, I'm still moving my capsule around because all we did was set ragdoll. So he's still chasing me down because he can see my capsule. And of course I ragdolled again. So what we can do to stop that, okay, on death, we can disable movement. Actually, instead of just disabling movement, let's disable input. And now when I die, I won't be able to move around anymore. Another thing I like to do is take the capsule, and we're going to set collision response to all channels, and we'll make it ignore. And then it will basically be like the capsule's no longer in the game world, even though it is still technically sitting there. And the same thing will happen to him. When I hit him, he'll go ragdoll and I can run right through him because his capsule is gone. 1, 2. Okay. So we don't want to ignore all channels. We'll just do the pawn. So set ignore. Set response to channel. There it is, set collision response to channel. We want to set this to pawn, and then we'll just ignore. And then this way it won't interfere with characters. But you will still be blocking the static mesh that is the ground. I'm not sure if he got me with that one. Nope, he's trying though. Boom. Now I can't move. He should be able to walk right through me. And then there's pathfinding and that kind of thing. We're not going to mess. Another couple things are the play options here. If we duplicate our, hit P to turn off the navigation mesh thing, Duplicate that, and we do this, and we turn it to 2-player. I'm just going to show you real quick. But now we have 2-player, we have the client and the server. And that's what's really awesome, is that it's already set up to playtest multiplayer stuff. See, I'm still running around, but on the server side it shows my character ragdoll. So that just shows you how the multiplayer stuff is so different. Another one is simulate. If you do simulate, the game world will play without you in it, and that's really good for testing how your level mechanics work and that kind of thing. Selected viewport is just the small little window here. Set this back to 1-player. Now we're just in the viewport, so you can look at other aspects of your game. I'll show you something else here. If you have this blueprint open and you hit, I'm going to do a new window. When you go to this, it will actually show you, if you do this, it shows you what code is running currently, and that's a good way to debug certain things, see if they're firing and working. I'm just trying to go over as many things as I can think of real quick. The level blueprint, if you wanted to play some music, you would do that in here, just as far as an easy way to do it. Play sound, 2D or at location will work. I just use location 000 and don't use attenuation, which is basically sounds getting lower when they're further away and that kind of thing. If you don't turn any of that on, this will work as well. I don't have any sounds in this project, but that's how you would play music in your level. A simple way to do it, at least. Alright, well let's go to Infinity Blade Grasslands and make a quick demo. Play through it one time. So what we want is a couple of third-person characters. Now, once again, if you hit P, it shows you that there's already nav mesh set up in this level. So you don't have to worry about that. Drop our third-person character in, and in the details, make sure he's set to is AI. And then you can just duplicate him now that we've set the is AI. It'll remain set each time you duplicate it. Another thing you can do is just duplicate them like this, and then go to your world outliner and do third-person character, and then hold shift and it selects everything from the first point to the last point. Now I have all three of those, and you can hit end and it automatically puts them on the ground. Let's go ahead and do a couple more further up. Okay, and now our player start is right here. Alright, so when that guy sees me, he runs over and throws his attack. I have the attack advantage because it takes him a full second to throw his. Oh no! Got me. Now there's no health bars or anything like that, so you're just having to go on a... Oh! Done. And that's just really a really simple way of just showing you how this kind of thing can work. Oh. Um, Tell you what, let's go back to the third person example map right here. Sure. Alright. So in here I already started to kind of set this up. Let's create a new input. This one will be action mode. And I'll make this right mouse button. And then right here, we'll do action mode. Now all I've done is made it so that I grabbed the character movement from our component list. And I made it where orient rotation and movement is turned off and use controller desired rotation is turned on. And then the opposite for when you let go of the button, which is basically back to normal movement mode. And here's a quick example of what that looks like. So when I hold right click, he basically orients to the camera like a classic first person shooter. The animation doesn't look that good. That's what I was trying to set up earlier. So let's go into here and we'll do a blend by bool. Do the false as the way that we were before. We'll go to create a new variable here, call it action mode. Set, Control W to duplicate, set this one to true, and set this one to false. That's turning on action mode on and off. So we go to our anim blueprint, event graph, and we'll do the same thing we did before. Duplicate, this will be called action mode. We will set it. It updates animation pretty much every tick, so it's constantly going to be checking this. And then right here we'll do action mode. So if action mode is true in our blueprint, it will register true in the anim blueprint instantaneously, also with false. So now we'll go here and we'll make what is choosing this to be true or false, our true or false variable, and the true will be, just duplicate this, what we had earlier, and then true. So if action mode is true, it's going to do the 3D blend space, and if it's not true, it's going to do the 2D blend space. And that should work. And now when you hit right click, when you hit attack and you're just running, it plays normal, but if you hold right click, oh, it's only coming out of attack. So what we need to do is actually we'll do this a little different. I'm sure I could wire it up with a few more stipulations, but instead of doing that, I'm going to make a new state. We're going to call this action mode. action mode is true, and if action mode is false, and then instead of doing it from there, we'll run it from here. And we'll run one state back to this. Just in case in mid-attack, if you let go of right-click, we'll make it so that if action mode is not true, we can go right back to running around. Okay, and then in here, all we need is that, 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 and that. Actually, we just need just this. There's a way better to do all of this, but I'm just trying to keep it simple and keep it quick. So now when you hold right click, see it's not calculating the speed correctly. Tell you what I can do is come into the anim starter pack and see. It's another thing that you can always do with things like this and see how they're doing it with their blueprint. So if we go to the event graph, speed comes before direction. I think that's what's wrong. So we'll do that, see if that makes it better. Maybe a problem with the blend space itself. This one. Okay, so let's do this. Let's delete that one, and we'll just do third person idle. Oh, that's what it is. All of these should be just idle for when speed is 0, and then the rest should fall into place on its own. Then when you move, yeah, see. Not sure why the blend space was set up that way. See, the ragdoll body is interfering with the capsule. So you should be able to go into this and make sure that the mesh collision. It ignores pawn. We'll ignore physics body. Shouldn't block the camera ever. Character cannot step on. See if that fixed it. Oh, okay, that's what it is. This is our character that we've killed, and this is the one in level. So you're going to need to go to this one, and then the details here. Set its collision, custom, and make it where it just ignores pawn. And now you should be able to run right through it. Yeah. So now that we've added action mode, let's see if I can't do a little better in our level. Grassland. No, it's actually Elven Ruins. That's the one. Alright, let's give it a shot. So yeah, it's a little better with this with action mode. And then that's pretty much it. We went over a lot of stuff, and there's so much more to go over. Camera collision is causing that. And the statue doesn't have camera collision, and that's why the camera doesn't zoom in closer. If it did, it would basically do what this fountain is doing. But I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope that it gave you some heads up on certain things, and at least a good starting point. Alright, thanks from Zero Thorn Studios, and have a good one.